All right, so we have Michael on the phone. Michael, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
All right.
Michael.
Michael Teig is the president of TigerLight, TigerLight.net. And we're going to talk to him about his new product today. Now, before we do that, do you know why they called me Inspector Gadget at the police station? That was my nickname.
Because you look like him.
Because I did look like him actually at the time. But when I was a cop, I brought... Oh, yeah, only Brian would have that music. Look at that. Good for you. I had a computer in 1983, right? And nobody had a computer. So I bring this giant computer in there to write a report, and my sergeant says, Harold, what do you need a computer for? Those are ridiculous. Who do you think you are, Inspector Gadget? Or something. That stuck, right? And Hollywood Harold was my other nickname at the police department. But so I thought the Inspector Gadget segment would be good, a good segue to talk to Michael. So Michael Teig's the president and CEO of TigerLight, based out of Utah, right, Michael?
That's correct.
And have you seen this thing?
Yeah, I've got to say, Michael and his company's been as you know, I'm involved in the Association of Threat Assessment Professionals,
yeah.
And Michael and TigerLight have been a great sponsor over the years of our annual conference at Anaheim. So, Michael, I thank you for that. It's always great to see your products there. People love it.
Well, it's been a pleasure to be there.
So, tell us what TigerLight is, Michael. What's a TigerLight?
TigerLight is a non-lethal self-defense device incorporating a high-intensity tactical flashlight with accelerated military-strength pepper spray.
That sounds pretty potent. Did you invent it? Are you the inventor?
Actually, my brother, who is a sergeant with the Portland Police Department, Randy, is the one who came up with the idea. He was working a high crimes task force at a time when Northeast Portland had the highest violent crime rate in the country, higher than Compton, Los Angeles.
Yeah, my family up there. That was a rough part of town back in the day.
It was. They had 179 shootings, I think, in 1 year in about a 3-block area,
yeah.
And it was just a battle zone. And he was personally in, I think, 110 what they classify as heavy force encounters during that time. And he came up with the idea of incorporating the pepper spray into the flashlight. And the very first night on the street, Officer Richard Braskett took it up on a car stop, and the guy in the car had just been out of prison for about a week and had been in prison for attempted murder of a police officer. And he pulled a gun and tried to kill Officer Braskett. He blasted him in the face with a TigerLight because it was already in his hand, finger on the trigger, and that was the very first experience with a TigerLight.
So TigerLight is primarily used by law enforcement and military applications too, for military police?
That's correct. That's what we originally built it for. We always knew we'd take it to the civilian market eventually, but we wanted to prove the concept in a tough environment. And we worked 7-8 years with the Joint Non-Lethal Weapons Director of the military. We got a letter from the Air Force headquarters last year from the general announcing to all the major commands around the world that TigerLight had been approved and put on their national stock list and issued a DLA contract and all that kind of thing. So we're very happy about that. It's been a long road and a lot of time, effort, and money. And but it in the LA study, you may be familiar with that. They put 500 lights out on the street and tested them for 6 months in a real tough environment, and it was used on 147 individuals with a 96% stop rate and no injuries, and no non-lethal weapons ever come close to that.
Now, when I was a cop, we used pepper spray and wound up usually spraying ourselves and the prisoner and the party, and it was a big mess. And it really wasn't that effective, especially with people on PCP. I mean, you would spray someone with PCP, which is basically a drug for anesthetizing animals, and it wouldn't do a thing.
Yeah.
So tell me why TigerLight has this high stop rate. It's really a very simple concept, but it's amazing that it works so well.
Yeah, it's baffling. I've had I had a head of the training department, was their OC trainer out in New Jersey, called me up and accused us of putting something illegal in the TigerLight because there's no way possible that pepper spray could stop guys on PCP the way the TigerLight did. And PCP was the drug of choice in that area, and their pepper spray had a 50% just below 50% stop rate. He told me documented stop rate, and the reason for that was because of the high use of PCP. These guys just don't feel any pain, and they had the TigerLights over there for a year and a half and had not had a single failure to stop. And he just could not comprehend how pepper spray in any form could have that kind of a stop rate. So he called me up because he was concerned that they might get nailed in court someday when somebody found out that we were using a spray with a potency much higher than they were allowed, which wasn't the case.
It's a delivery system.
Exceptionally good sprays, but it's a delivery method. And
Yeah.
basically what it boils down to is the guy who's getting sprayed does not have a chance to hold his breath. And I'll put it real quick and real short. That's the secret. There are other factors: the quality of the spray, the potency of the spray, the speed of delivery, the spray pattern, the spray particles. Those things are factors, but by far and away, the major factor is they have no idea they're going to get sprayed, and when they can't hold their breath, when they can hold their breath, they take away that additional incapacitory effect, and they're able to fight. They're able to continue fighting. So the officer ends up having to use a much higher level of force, and you don't like fighting guys on PCP because they don't feel any pain.
So when I was a cop, I would spray somebody with the stream. I'd probably miss half the time, but the stream is not vaporized, so the suspect's not breathing it, and the suspect ducks because he knows I'm pulling out my pepper spray to spray him. That always happens. But when they see your product, it's a flashlight, they go, oh, that's just a flashlight, and they're not expecting the pepper spray to come out. That's what does it.
Yeah, exactly. And so even though they can withstand the pain, they can't stand the respiratory distress. In fact, it even has a greater impact on them because they're so hepped up. And when you take away their breath, they just panic. And they think they're going to die, and all they want you to do is help them. They're not interested anymore in attacking you or doing anything else. They just want help. And I've been sprayed both ways personally, and I can tell you it's a night and day difference, not any comparison whatsoever. Both the psychological and physiological impact are dramatically different.
So I remember we talked earlier. There was a thing called muscle memory in training, right? You got to just automatically do what you're trained to do. And when I looked at the product, I was worried, am I going to point the flashlight and push the button for the flashlight or push the button for the spray? And you pointed out a couple of things about the design of this, which is really slick. And,
I'll tell you, if there's one thing I can give my brother credit for more than anything else, it was the design, the way you have to deploy it. In fact, in the LA study, they had another light that they also had 500 units of it. And they had both lights, 500 units, at 3 patrol stations in a jail, and they tested them for 6 months. The results were the polar opposite. And the reason was our light, when you hold it in your hand, you hold it in the position like you're fighting. Your hands are up, up by your shoulder, and the way you hold your hand, even your thumbs and finger, everything is in a fight position. So when you get attacked, your natural response, if you're fighting and that light wasn't in your hand, would be to punch or block. And that is the exact same movement that you have the same response with a TigerLight. So you don't have to change that. We all know that, if you have to change muscle memory in a high-stress situation, you better practice that about 1,500 to 5,000 times, or you're going to revert to your natural instinct, and you're going to get messed up.
Pointing your finger is a natural thing to do, so you point and shoot, basically. So you mentioned...
It's just like deploying a TigerLight is just like throwing a quick jab. It's just like throwing a short punch. And,
right, so now you said you got...
very quick.
We're getting short on time, so I want to make sure we get the information out. So you're coming out with a new model now, which is kind of for general public use, right? Smaller for the ladies and that kind of thing. Tell us about it.
Oh, my goodness. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, we just launched the campaign today. The actual campaign starts in January. We're doing a Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign for this online, and you can go to our website and see about it. But our least expensive light right now is a T100. That's our most popular light, and it sells for $125 with the package. This light's going to be twice as powerful, a lot smaller, and less expensive. It's just going to be an incredible light. There's actually a new modification design that's even going to make it easier to use. We're looking at even the possibility of having a device in it. We've already, kind of figured it all out and designed it in. It's just a matter of how successful a campaign is and whether or not we'll be able to include it in the first edition. We hope to, and that is a little GPS or Bluetooth device that when you spray it or your wife sprays it, she's 20 miles away from you. The minute she sprays it, it'll show up on your phone and alert you that she just sprayed her light. It'll give you her phone number pop up on the screen, her picture, and her exact GPS location.
That is slick. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So we're running out of time. That's the wrap it up music. So tell us, where do we find this deal? TigerLight.net? Is that where we're going to go?
Just go to TigerLight.net. There's a little thing called the Peacekeeper mini project. Click on it and sign up for the pre-campaign, because if you do sign up, you'll be able to get this device in the pre-campaign in January just by signing up now. You're not paying anything now. Just sign up, and you'll be able to get it for $30.
And there's no permit or license required, correct?
Nope, it's legal in all 50 states.
Right.
And yeah, you're good to go, and it's just an exceptional device.
Michael, thanks for joining us. Will you come back, maybe spray me in the studio to see how effective it is?
I'd like to see that, actually.
You would like to see that, wouldn't you? Folks, we're all out of time. I want to thank you for joining us in our premiere of Security Guy Radio. We'll be back next week at the same time, and we'll be talking about, what were we going to talk about next week?
The news.
No, we're going to talk about stalkers. I think it was stalkers, and I can't remember. Yeah. Check us on Twitter. Check us on Facebook. Check us on LinkedIn. SecurityGuyRadio.com on LinkedIn. And Chuck Harold on LinkedIn. And Paul Bristow on LinkedIn. Pam, thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys next week on SecurityGuyRadio.com.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.